I'm realizing I have a hotkey for my Pokemon Legends ZA layout, but not my Pokemon XD layout. And that's the more commonly going on game nowadays, so maybe I should change that. I don't know. So, I'm pretty sure the last stream that I did was after Fire Red and Leaf Green was announced for the Switch. It has been a few days since then, and my god. The internet is certainly something. Yeah, I don't know. So I was thinking about doing a stream tonight, and at first I wasn't sure what, but then I was like, you know what? How about we do some Pokemon tonight? I'm starting to make some different title cards for some different Daves. That's sure to make Mythic happy. Probably. I don't know. They got freaking Zip Zap Zoop and the Dangerous Daves. This is what's happened to this party. It is unreal. What the heck was I doing? I was storming this place and doing battles and stuff. And one of these days soon, I'll start grinding in Pokemon Legends CA at the same time. Oh, hi. Can I not interact? Great. Oh, it keeps me locked in for a while. Anyway, I hope things are going well today, Mortis. Yeah, I figured, you know what, maybe tonight's a Pokemon night. What with, recent events. Hello, Destine, how's it going? Just out of curiosity, more than anything, I ended up putting out, like, a pretty low quality, pretty slapped together video just about the whole price point of Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green, and just comparing emulation, which is like the standard go-to, because that's, you know, what it's been for the last decade and a half, is like the most standard way to play when these games haven't been available otherwise. Yeah, that's what it sure seems like, or, you know, people are feeling like there. It's basically almost finished my actual copy of Pokemon Leaf Green on my Game Boy Advance. Nice. Some nice timing there. Yeah, so I did that out of curiosity, because like I said before, I am debating about, like, doing more. We drove those freaky thugs out with some unfriendly persuasion. Can you imagine the nerve of them coming after defenseless women like me? What? Yeah, may have, but, like, I was trying to explain myself and be like, you know, if you feel like I'm not addressing your points, this is me addressing all your points, is what's going on. But anyway, before getting to that, I'm just trying to experiment with just general, let's talk, get some thoughts out, and just, you know, see, hey, Anja, you're a doll. I see your pretty face on TV all the time, but you know, you're a lot prettier in person than on TV. What? Who are you? I'm getting Anja's autograph. You stay out of this. Because I am thinking about doing, like, more review kind of content and more just, like, general thoughts out there kind of thing. And so I did that just purely about, like, you know, this is what you're getting, like, value-wise out of, like, the emulation route, and what's capable, what your options are, what the features are, stuff like that. And with the, as far as we're currently aware, the Switch Online kind of version there. Switch Online, the buying it on Switch kind of version? What the heck am I doing? Neither of these are particularly great right here, are they? Let's go ahead and shift in this way. Yeah, this is not exactly the best of matchups, is it? And yeah, I might debate about potentially doing more stuff like that. And within like 3 days, it has gotten this video that I put together like one evening and like an hour and a half total, just really slapped together, has gotten more views than my most recent video essay that took me 2 months to make. It's like, what the hell is the modern YouTube landscape, for one? So it's like, maybe that's just like the meta now. It's just, you know, get things out while they're trending and see what's going on there. And, you know, I wanted to try and just, you know, like, actually talk about what's going on here, and not just be like another voice that's just like, oh yeah, it's either one or the other, and my god, I've been poison pointed. And, you know, screw anyone that's on the other side, kind of thing. I've had some people very, very mad at either me, other people in the comments, or just the situation in general. A lot of people have gone to, like, that video and just seem to be dropping, like, screw the guys that are, like, getting this, they're the problem. Or other people are going, being like, screw everyone that's saying that this is too much. Like, can you not afford that? It's like, oh my god. I think people are just seeing that this is, like, a topic that, you know, is being addressed in said video, and are just like, time to use the comments as another place to just vent out there into the world. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'll do something like this. And it's quite surprising. You're gonna have to look up your latest video, didn't show up on my YouTube algorithms. Yeah, it was just like literally slapped together really quite quickly. Like after work one day, just like turn on the camera, hit record, do the display capture, draw a little graph where it's like, this is what you're getting with both things. And essentially at the end saying like, hey, you know, I don't condone piracy or anything like that by any means. But, you know, at the end of the day, consider what you're getting like value-wise and make your own decisions. You know, I don't think that it was the purpose of the video that was, you know, the difficult kind of contested point. I think it's just that people see the topic and are like, well, time to go scream into the void, is what I very much think it was. Which, because, you know, it is really quite stunning, some of the things seen on both, like, other platforms in general, on the comments of that video, just, you know, anywhere, essentially. Like, you go, I know that this is a really bad platform to cite, but, you know, I still get a decent few of my memes from, like, Twitter from time to time. My going live notification today was a Twitter one. And sometimes it is interesting to see what people are saying, but the moment that news dropped, I would have thought, like, you know, some people would be like, oh, yeah, this is too expensive, they're going too far, that kind of sucks, and other people would be like, oh, you know, that's not that much, like, whatever, you know, I'll pick it up. You know, a lot of people are like that. It's like, yeah, fine, whatever, you know, spend your own money on what you find value in at the end of the day, like, whatever, you know. Yeah, I noticed that there. I haven't gotten the chance to see it yet. I am intrigued about seeing it, but, you know, I haven't gotten the chance to yet. At some point here. But, like, it's actually wild. Like, you know how much drama goes out about, like, a modern Pokemon release of, like, a big title that they're putting out? Yeah, Fire Red and Leaf Green seems to be causing, like, that level, if not more from what I've seen, at least. Like, maybe I don't spend the most time on social media, but, like, it's genuinely baffling. Like, I don't understand. You have, like, one extreme side where people are calling other people sheep and just always getting whatever they pump out, no matter what the price. Saying, like, oh, you're all sheep, you're all part of the herd. And it's like, isn't there some irony when you're seeing other people calling people that, and you're just copying what those other people are saying in calling them sheep and just, you know, mimicking what you saw other people say, because, like, oh, you know, that sounds like a good insult, and then everyone starts... I haven't seen Toy Story in a long time, but that scene where it's, like, all the Buzz Lightyears that are like, I'm Buzz Lightyear, and, you know, that's what it's kind of reminding me of there, where, you know, you've got so many people that are thinking that, you know, they're big brain or doing their part by, like, you know, saying, oh man, you all that are taking this route are just being sheep following the herd. And it's like, isn't that what you're doing by just, like, you know, following this same route, this same mentality? Can we not just, like, sit down and talk about these things? I mean, I'm of the opinion where it's like, I don't think that there is enough value added by, like, you know, the $20 US or $30 here in Canada Fire Red Leaf Green, especially when you're competing with emulation, which has been the standard for, like, the past decade and a half. And if you compare it to the actual price point of other, like, Game Boy Advance games that have been released to modern platforms by other companies, they typically bundle them together, like, anywhere from, like, 3 to 6 games in a bundle for the same price point that Nintendo's releasing one game in one language, which, you know, does really say a whole lot about, you know, the situation there, because these other companies are trying to add, like, the convenience of all the games in a bundle to justify, like, a price point that makes someone go, like, oh, why would I bother emulating when I can just, like, get this whole bundle of games for, like, 20 bucks and have them all, like, easily at my fingertips just like that. Like, the whole what the heck is going on, dude? You know how people talk about how piracy is like a usability issue, need to offer, gosh dang it, a better service than the pirates. That's what other companies try to do by doing, like, these bundles at these kinds of price points, as opposed to, like, one game in one language for the same price other companies charge for bundles. And it's just like, yeah, at the end of the day, 20 bucks, sure, it's not a lot of money, but in terms of, like, the actual value you're getting out of it, compared to, like, other producers, it's like, yeah, that's not a massive ton. That's, like, 5 to 10 times more on a per game basis than you know, what other companies are charging you. That's a pretty wild increase for, like, the Pokemon / Nintendo Premium. But at the end of the day, if there's those that are like, hey, I want to play this on my Switch, I want to play this in an official manner, I'm hoping for, like, home support down the line, yeah, fine, like, whatever, it's your own choices. But I think a lot of people take issue with other people making their own choices. You know, I don't know. I don't get it. I don't get why people are as insanely heated as they are. Here, let's just go ahead and take out this Chinchou. Original Fire Red / Leaf Green had linkage compatibility with the Gale of Darkness. It would be neat if the eShop release of the former had linkage with eShop / Nintendo Switch Online of XD, but that's a big if. Yeah, that was one of the things that I mentioned in that video as well, and one of the perks that you actually do have through emulation. Like, I can connect this to MGBA and, like, interact with the Game Boy Advance Pokemon games. That is something that you don't get with, you know, the freaking Switch Online release. I can't even, it's not even Switch Online, Switch eShop. I can't even gather my thoughts. So friggin' frazzled. Derby Davis confused, hurt itself in confusion, confused and paralyzed. The whole double whammy here. Another one of the things I mentioned is, like, is the game even completable? Are you gonna get a national dex and it's gonna be impossible to 100% it just by nature of there not even being Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald on there? Which is connectivity that you have through emulation again. So, like, the whole value proposition, the whole offer a better service than the pirates, compete with emulation that is the standard for these games for the past decade and a half. You are offering a significantly worse service with significantly less perks than this matter, and then other companies are doing, you know? So it's I have a hard time seeing the value proposition, so I'm absolutely of the camp that, you know, this doesn't exactly justify the price of entry, and emulation is still generally the way to go. But, you know, don't quote me on anything here, Nintendo. But, you know, obviously, like I said, if someone wants to pick up, like, Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald for their Switch, play it on that platform, hope that there's home support, fine, like, that's fair. You know, it's whatever, who cares? A lot of people really seem to care what other people's decisions are. Like, I don't get it. Honestly, the community's at a boiling point. I think so many emotions that even the smallest thing causes an all-out flame war. It really seems like it. And it's to the point that it makes me, like, genuinely ashamed as someone that is covering Pokemon on my channel. And even as a, oh my god, as a gamer to an extent, seeing that this is what the gaming community is like over what other people are spending $20 on. Like, I don't get it. By the way, these games are going just like Let's Go Pikachu Eevee. I assume that's what that stands for. You can transfer the Pokemon from these games, but you cannot transfer them to Fire Red and Leaf Green. And Let's Go Pikachu Eevee, you can also can't transfer a hidden ability Pokemon because these games are pre-Gen 5 games. Yeah, that's probably the case there. Miss Ancha! Much as I'm not a fan of handling the ports, I prefer to play games on official hardware. It feels more proper for me. Yeah, that's fair. That is completely fair there. Honestly, I think we're gonna get RC later, like Gold, Silver, Crystal on the 3DS. That's what I thought at first. But what with them releasing Fire Red and Leaf Green specifically for this anniversary event, makes me have my doubts. That's like the big factor that's making me have doubts of them ever releasing RSC. Oh, he's just gone. Wait, what do I do now then? Thanks for your help. Don't think anyone expected the OMBS to be made the target. But you watch, we'll get this story out on the news in a big way. You're a saver. I was terrified by the thought that they might hurt Ansha. Darn it, they slashed all the power cables. Could have broadcast everything that happened here. Don't worry, I got it live in 4K. Yeah, like, there have been lots of comments on that of people being like, you know, it's not a whole lot, and, you know, it's a platform that I want to play on, and, you know, I say to people, you know, fine, fair. Do it. Hope you get a lot of fun out of it. You know, it's whatever. Yeah, maybe. Could well be the case. I guess we shall see. We will definitely have to give it some time and see how things play out. You know, I'm no sage that's going to be able to know exactly how things are going to play out. And, you know, I won't pretend that I know otherwise, but that's just, you know, my guesstimations and stuff like that. To complete the post-game of Leaf Green and think of going to the Pokemon League on the day of Pokemon Day would be a fitting thing to do there. Here, let's go ahead and do the heal thing here. But yeah, like I said, some of the things I'm seeing out there are just, you know, the most batshit lunacy that you've ever seen. Like, you have you have one side that's, you know, going at the other's throats, calling them sheep, and the other side that's going at the other's throats, being like, you really can't afford $20? How do you think that that's a lot of money? And, you know, you have images that are spreading around like wildfire, like people holding $20 in front of their Switch and being like, retweet to scare like a Pokemon fan or something like that. And it's like, oh my god, what the heck is even this deranged lunacy? And like I said, I do genuinely feel like with comments on even my own video there, it really seems like a lot of people just go there just to be like, anyone who buys this is a sheep. Or just to go there and be like, man, $20 is really nothing. And, you know, it's so dumb that, like, anyone's talking about this when, you know, obviously $20 is not a lot of money. Like, two extreme sides of the spectrum. And both equally insufferable. Like, genuinely. It's wild stuff. Like, the other day here, there was a comment of someone that was saying, like, you know, I don't think that $20 is all that much. Like, compare that to, like, oh my god. Fine, I'll go to the thingamabob. Like, think about it costing about the same amount as a plate of nachos at a restaurant or something like that. And, you know, like, there's no malice or anything there. Like, just purely being like, hey, I disagree, these are the reasons why. It's like, yeah, fine, fair. And I responded to that being like, you know, sure, you can compare based on, like, the actual value that you as a consumer are getting out of it. You know, a bit of food compared to potentially hours of fun, you know? Like, you can, like, it can be fair to compare, like, the actual value to the consumer. But if we're talking about, like, the actual cost to the producer, then it's a case, oh my god, I forgot to go check what spot it was. Then it's a case of comparing apples to oranges, because we're comparing a digital copy of a 22-year-old game that, you know, it's not like they're gonna run out of. There's an infinite amount of units that they can essentially sell with these digital copies, versus something that needs to be prepared by a team of chefs in a kitchen, like, then and there for you. So, if we're talking about, like, actual product being delivered, it's, you know, not exactly a fair comparison. You know, so, you know, I just responded in that kind of manner where it's like, you know, they weren't disrespectful at all. Like, I wasn't trying to be disrespectful at all. Just being like, yeah, this is a, you know, this is a way that you can compare it. And, you know, you know, and, it was someone else that came in that was really freaking pissed off. There was, okay, we're going to rock here. There was another person that came in that responded to the initial commenter being, like, really, really pissed off and calling them a sheep for thinking that $20 isn't that much. And I don't tolerate that kind of thing, you know? That's not the kind of thing that I want to say is okay in my community. You know, I don't want to be like one of those enabling content creators that are like, oh yeah, my fans are toxic, but whatever, you know, like, that is not me. So I responded to that other guy being like, hey, if you can't disagree in, like, a respectful way, if you have to have an outburst like this, then you've got no place in this community. Like, please just don't, you know? And then they got pissed off at me. So then the turntable suddenly turned from them taking my side in, like, a really aggressive and over-the-top stance to now being against me in an extremely aggressive and over-the-top stance. Responding to that comment being like, why the hell would I want to be a part of this stupid community anyway? Like, you're some creator with a cartoon profile pic, lol, or whatever the heck kind of thing there. And it's like, you know, this is a fan art of me that a fan made for me. Oh, it's just a one-shot there, whatever, dude. And not only that, but they responded to my response to the other guy. So there was the initial guy that was like, hey, I don't think that $20 is that much. Like, just think about, like, getting a bit of food at a restaurant. And me responding to them being like, you know, sure, in terms of, like, the value you get as a consumer, but in terms of, like, the cost to the producer and what's actually being delivered, here's, like, a more fair comparison. Yeah, the other guy ended up responding to that and basically being like, what the hell is this book that you just wrote? All you Pokemon fans are the same, and it's like, have you seen the video in question? Like, don't... Friendly fire! Don't you know that I am not... I don't think that they read it and just assumed that I was agreeing that $20 isn't that much, or something like that, and that I was on the side of, like, pro this version of the game when I'm not. So, like, I don't even understand. Like... Do they not realize that I'm on their side, but not a dick about it? Or, like, what? Yeah, I think that that's what the case is. But, you know, it's, I'm genuinely just so confused. So it's like, here's one stance, here's my stance that's disagreeing, and then here's another comment that's thinking that they're disagreeing with me because they think I'm stance A when I'm really stance B, and they would have realized that if they actually read the thing. But maybe it's just because I told them to, like, you know, tone the hell down, that they just, you know, got mad. I don't know. If anything, I do genuinely believe that seeing the reactions to this whole situation has been the thing that has genuinely convinced me of dead internet theory. Like, I genuinely don't get it. I don't know what that means either there. And it's through this situation that I have seen, like, probably some of the most deranged and unbelievable gaming takes I think I've ever seen. Which is another thing that is kind of convincing me of dead internet theory and thinking that, you know, these have got to be bots in some of these cases. I had somebody try to convince me that these $20 USD or $30 Canadian Pokemon games are really just Pokemon, like, giving opportunities to other people who can't afford, like, a different device to play it. They're just being considerate to the poor, because now the poor that own a Switch and no other computing device at all, really, can now have a means to be able to play Fire Red and Leaf Green. Like, across 8 years of being in content creation and across many, many years of making videos on Pokemon, I genuinely think that might be the worst take I might have ever seen. Like, there is such a complete lack of understanding of literally any computer made like this millennia is going to be capable of playing Game Boy Advance games. You have something from like an iPhone 3 onward from like 2008. It's capable of playing Game Boy Advance games. 20 years ago, when I was in like junior high school here, I guess a little bit less than 20 years ago, like, but you know, time's flying. 15 to 20 years ago, whatever the hell, when I was in junior high school, everyone in the class emulated Game Boy Advance games on their like iPhone 3s, iPhone 4s, whatever the hell, like early smartphones that they had. And everyone was playing Pokemon and trading with one another. And that was just the standard. That was what everyone did. And this was like 15, 16, whatever the hell years ago that I was in junior high school. Like, you know, and the very early age of like touchscreen smartphones. Like, you have a means for like communicating with the outside world, and you have a phone that has like a touchscreen. You don't have like some sort of flip phone or something like that. You can probably play Game Boy Advance games. You get a more modern flip phone, you can play Game Boy Advance games. And I genuinely don't understand what the heck this point about like it's just being considerate to those that can't afford another device is all about. When, you know, if you're in a situation where, you know, financials are tight, you can't afford all that much, a video game playing console is a luxury. It's not a necessity. Oh, sweetie, I was waiting for you. You can bring it on. I don't go easy on little kids. But a phone or a basic computer in today's day and age is basically like an extended necessity. Like, you don't need it to, like, it's like electricity, you know? It's not one of those things that you need to survive, like, every single day or anything like that. But if you want to be able to get by in today's world, you need to have a means to actually communicate with the world around you. Like, you know, potential employers. I had somebody that was the person who initially went at me for being like, hey, you haven't considered that, like, some people aren't in positions where they have a device where they can play Game Boy Advance games. And I had said, like, you know, if you own a Switch, chances are you own a device capable of playing Game Boy Advance games. I had another person that, like, responded to that about, like, how inconsiderate and wild it was for me to say that. Like, how I don't know the first thing about, like, being poor. Like, do you know what it means to be poor? Some people don't have a phone or a computer, but they might have a Switch. What the hell are you even talking about? Again, like, some of the most wild takes I think I have ever seen. Like, yeah, some people have more priorities than gaming, but, you know, if you own a Switch but not a phone, sell that Switch, buy a phone. Like I had said in the response to that, working in low-income housing is literally my current job. I work for a real estate company that manages apartments in low-income neighborhoods primarily. Like, my job is literally playing landlord for those that are, like, buying, like, the cheapest of the cheapest apartments in the city. And as I found out, like, about 3 weeks ago, apparently for, like, this past 1 year span, the company that I work for actually houses the most homeless people in the whole city, which is, you know, something for the company to be proud of in a way, but is also kind of sad when you consider that, like, we're a relatively small company and, you know, there's some of these mega corporations that, you know, own so much property and aren't doing more. So, you know, it's a little bit sad in a way. But the truth of the matter is, the company that I work for houses, like, just quantity, not per capita, just quantity, the most homeless people in the city. Which, again, wild. But, point is, like, I definitely know about a lot of these different situations here, and you meet a lot of different people with a lot of different stories in this line of work. You know, sometimes, there have been times where I'll go to, like, pick up rent at an apartment and find that all the lights are off and there's no electricity because the tenant had to make a choice between paying Epicor or paying their landlord this month. We have all sorts of different tenants that do work around the apartments for the sake of, like, making a little income on the side and being able to pay their rent more reliably. And my boss, like, tries to be able to find, like, odd jobs and different bits of work for people that are looking for around, like, said apartments, which, you know, like, good on him, and I super respect him for that. You know, you find all sorts of these different kinds of situations. I've talked to a few people in this line of work where they don't go to the grocery store and get food. They have to go to, like, the food bank and be up to date on, like, what their hours are and, you know, when there's, like, different free events going on, because if they're paying for food, they won't be able to afford rent in addition. Like, it's wild and really quite enlightening about how difficult life is for some people. So, you know, frankly, I was a little bit stunned and insulted to be told, like, don't you know what it means to be poor? It's like, are you kidding me, dude? Here we go, level 23, I'm about to get quick attack. There it is. Yeah, go ahead and learn quick attack. I recently learned that Tail Whip apparently affects both targets in doubles here, so it has some novelty use there. So I might actually keep Tail Whip and get rid of Sand Attack. So I might just do, like, I know. Zip Zap Zoop forgot Sand Attack, and Zip Zap Zoop learned Quick Attack. Took a little while for that to come up there. Yeah, those people deserve housing. Shelter needs to be a human right. I absolutely agree. But Dad said some similar things about his time in Social Security before the current administration gutted it, of course. Yeah, they're basically 1 year older than Fire Red and Leaf Green. Oh, there's some Shadow Pokemon here. Basically 1 year older than Fire Red and Leaf Green, and sooner in my middle school, I play them on emulators. Same goes with Emerald. Yeah, it was just kind of a standard thing there. Hello, Guzma. How's it going? So, like, you know, I'm just very stunned about those kinds of things. And again, it kind of convinces me of dead internet theory. Like, because it's like, there's no freaking way this is a real person. Like, I can't help but think sometimes here. Like, I'm just genuinely baffled. Yeah, I'm not that sick anymore. I'm definitely feeling a whole lot better. It's the base version or the hardcore version of the game? What's the hardcore version of the game? I didn't realize there was a difference there. How's it going, Raiga? It's super effective. It's super effective. Beautiful, I use Gust. So, you know, I'm very, very stunned about a lot of the things I've seen. Hopefully not again. Started taking some multivitamins as well, in case I have some sort of a nutrient deficiency to help, you know, fix me up a little bit. You know, this is kind of the case here. Here, go ahead and use Ember, and then I think I'm gonna just go ahead and, item? Go ahead and Pokeball here. Really quickly. Just some multivitamins that were already in the house. Probably find something proper down the line here. Got an offer for the house. Nice, nice. Some people in the community made a version called XG Gale of Darkness, and I think there's a few other mod versions right now. Has anybody made a version called Gale of Daveness? Like, this playthrough is apparently turning into. Sweet, first try. Glad that was able to be first try. But yeah, like, just genuinely baffling. And, in the case of like that one, I don't know, it's whatever it is. It's a multivitamin, like vitamin gummies is what they are. They just happen to be like in a shelf around the house, and it's like, oh well, let's go through them for now, and then, you know, find something proper later. But yeah, that's what I've learned from my family selling our house in preparation for the move next month. Further shows how fucked up the housing market is. It's really bad right now, yeah. You're a little kid, you should lighten up. Notebooks was sent to the PC storage system. House is valued at almost 900K. Almost $1 million. Well, maybe it's worth almost $1 million. Like, I don't know how big your house is for reference or anything like that. But I would assume that it's like mid-range average kind of house. In which case, you know, if it's comparable to, say, this one here, for example, that is very much like, holy shit, what the hell? You know? That's, strawberry and raspberry gummies. Yeah, I definitely don't taste like that. But I don't know what these ones taste like. Some mix of different things. But yeah, anyway, like the initial commenter that kind of started that whole talk of like, hey, ever consider that some people don't have a phone or computer, but they have a Switch to play on? And me responding like, hey, if you own a Switch, chances are you own a phone or computer. Oh, and I forgot to say another thing. You want to buy like some really old phone, like on a used market today, it's easily going to be like anywhere from 40 to 100 bucks depending on the range that you're going for. Like you can find cheap used crap like really easily. Or the Chromebook that I won at Fragapalooza in 2019. At retail, it's $200 Canadian. That was like 7 years ago. So, you know, how much would that go for today? Like maybe 50 if I'm lucky. You know, so if Fire Red Leaf Green is $30 for one here, and I could sell that Chromebook capable of playing Fire Red Leaf Green for 50. For the cost of Fire Red and Leaf Green together, you can buy a device capable of playing Fire Red and Leaf Green. Like, so I just don't understand the whole stance of, you know, what if someone owns a Switch but not a different device capable of playing it? Like, I'm sure that there's like some edge 1 in a million cases where it's like, hey, there's, you know, a kid that's growing up where the parents don't want them like on the internet and social media, so they don't have like a phone or computer of their own yet, but they have a Switch. They're like, fine, whatever. You know, there are some of these edge cases 1 in a million kind of thing. But it's not like Nintendo putting Fire Red Leaf Green onto the Switch for $30 a pop is them being considerate of the people that just don't have the means to have a different platform to play it on. Like that, I don't get it. So, you know, that initial commenter, I essentially just replied being like, you know, if you own a Switch, chances are you own a different console. And, you know, that resulted in a response of a disagreement and, you know, me responding just being like, no, I'm pretty sure it's the case where if you own a Switch, you own a different console here. And then, like, the lids came off, or the gloves came off, the lid was blown, and they were just like, okay, if you're gonna keep on using your subjective opinion against my objective argument, like, you do you. And it's like, okay, well, it looks like that's the moment that respect has been lost. It's like, holy crap, really? My subjective opinion versus their objective argument. What are you even talking about? And they accused me of like ignoring what it was that they were trying to say. So that's when I did do like a whole elaborate, like, okay, let's go through what you said line by line and actually dissect what's going on here. As I do, like, I'm thorough with things. I'm very elaborate with things. So I did that. And of course, as I should have expected, the response is, I'm not reading all that. You know, as it typically is. There have been there's been a couple cases like that where it's like, okay, let's do like an actual proper explanation here that's really dissecting it. And of course, if they don't want to like actually address it, of course the typical response is, I'm not reading all that. But point is, I'm right. As that ended off on. And it's like, well, that's kind of a typical way for that kind of thing to go in today's online sphere, I guess. So it's been a while since I gave someone the pin of shame. And I gave that one the pin of shame. And surprisingly, it seems like that's what people are rallying around. The pin of shame has had the complete opposite effect. The heck is going on in here? And I have never been more stunned. Like, have you actually taken the time to read what's being said? This whole argument of, oh, it's, you know, just being considerate to people that you know, maybe own a Switch, but don't own a phone or a computer. If you actually take the time to read through, like, is that something that you are genuinely believing in? Or did you click on the video, see that this was, like, the thing being discussed, and see the beginning of this, first comment that's like, hey, have you considered X and Y? And then just, you know, agree with that. You know, it's really funny, like, the response that I had that they said, that's too long, I'm not reading all that. It's not like it's that much longer than their initial comment in the first place. You lot, one peep out of you and you'll be sorry. Like, at a certain point, I have to think, this can't be real. Like, Cypher Peon Dilly would like to battle. Like, just genuinely flabbergasted. And I know that, like, if I, oh, that just reminded me that at some point there's a Shadow Mareep. I think I actually already caught it, but I should be saving from time to time just in case here. And I'm sure that I could absolutely just rake in, like, the views and rake in the monies if I put out, like, these kinds of videos or similar kind of content that's clearly taking one stance instead of the stance that I'm currently taking, where I'm kind of making enemies of both sides. Like, anyone that's taking an extreme on either side, I'm making enemies of. You know, I do recognize that take an extreme side, and I could absolutely, you know, potentially rake it in if that's the direction that I wanted to take my content. But that is so just, like, not me. I want to, like, actually sit down and, like, dissect things and be true to myself and all that. But, you know, you do that and, you know, situations like this, like, I don't even know. I don't even know how to describe it. Like, I'm just so insanely stunned. Like, how's my boy Dave doing? All the Daves are doing okay. You caught me mid-ramble about, like, all this stuff going on with Pokemon Fire Red, Leaf Green. So, at the end of the day, it's like, you know, I've had people that, like, hate me and go at my throat before. Like, I get it. I'm no stranger to that. You know, I've made videos on Pokemon over the years. It's not like that's anything new to me. But I am just genuinely flabbergasted with some of these situations and some of the arguments people are making. Like, oh, it's just being considerate to people that don't own, like, any other device capable of playing it, but they own a Switch. Who is that? Who are you talking about? Or situations where people agree with me, but just take more extreme stances. I'm like, hey, can you, like, not be so mean? And then all of a sudden are completely against me and, you know, all of a sudden are saying that I believe something that I don't. And it's like, what is even going on? What is this world? Like, what has the Pokemon community become? And I've never felt harder, like, it's not a, like, never felt harder, like, huh, maybe I just don't want to be doing stuff on Pokemon in this channel in general, because what the absolute hell? I don't understand. So, Pokemon fans are weird. It really seems that way. That really seems to be the case. Or maybe just bots. Like, I don't even know what to think anymore. I don't understand there. Middle class like mine having a 900k house is wild. Yeah, that's pretty insane there. My mom bought it 500k, now it's valued at almost $1 million. Jeez, I only bought it like 3 to 4 years ago. That's pretty insane. God, I hate that so much. Yeah, I'll throw shit at other people with a different opinion, but don't want to bother listening. Yeah, I mean, that's nothing new when it comes to just, like, gaming and media in general. Like, you know, a lot of people don't want to sit down and, you know, have things dissected, be open to hearing, like, different takes and opinions. What people want is what they already believe to be right, and it makes it really, really hard to get, like, genuine discourse in, you know, these kinds of matters. So, you know, I think most creators in my shoes probably wouldn't see people that agree with them in comments and be like, hey, can you, like, not do it so aggressively? But that's what I've done, and I've already talked to a couple people being like, hey, can you tone it down? This is not, you know, the kind of precedent that I'm trying to set here. Because why would other creators do that? You're just gonna, you know, take the people that agree with you and marginalize them too. But, you know, I don't want to promote people going at one another's throats. It's craziness, man. So, you know, even the people that are in the camps that I generally agree with on this matter, I find, like, just to be so, like, you know, So unbearable as well, I guess is the right word. And who would have thought it would have taken, like, Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green to cause this kind of situation? Like, Nintendo and Pokemon are honestly genius for setting, like, the perfect price point that is gonna, you know, have people be iffy, divided, that is gonna make, like, such an extreme split, but not be, like, an obvious, like, one or the other. So very much, like, the ceiling of what they could have been charging in that sense. Like, good on them. They're playing the game. They're smart in that sense. You know, can't exactly blame them for that. Go ahead and do this. And I think a lot of these people that get, like, so genuinely mad and at one another's throats, like, fail to realize that the average consumer just doesn't give a shit. Like, if someone's going at people that are, like, actually buying, like, Fire Red Leaf Green for 30 bucks on the Switch Online and calling them sheep and always gonna buy everything, what do you think that accomplishes? Like, do you think people are gonna be like, oh, you know, maybe that is the case, maybe I should rethink my financial decisions? No, it's just gonna piss people off and be like, oh, I guess I'm not really engaging with, you know, social media anymore, or that community. It's $20 USD for one in one language. If you buy a copy of the game in English and you want to play in Spanish, you gotta shell another $20 USD or 30 Canadian. So it's 20 USD or 30 Canadian per one per language. With the promise of home support being taken down within a few hours of the page going up. So that promise that they said that Pokemon Home's coming eventually, yeah, within a few hours they took down that promise, as if they don't want to get people's hopes up, or change their mind, or decide that so far out that's not worth getting your hopes up right now. Something like that. Point is, they took it down in a few hours. So don't bank on that for sure being a perk of the games even. The one potential perk they could have over emulation. It might well have been. Like, except different price point. Like, I remember buying Pokemon Red on my 3DS when it came out, and I'm pretty sure I paid like $8 or something like that Canadian, not 30. And I think a day or two ago I was looking it up, and I think that, like, the price in USD for, like, the Gen 2 games on 3DS was like $10. I think that's what a couple comments have told me as well, is like it was $10 for Gold, Silver, Crystal on the 3DS. So a lot of people are like, oh, it's only double that for the next games immediately after. That's not that bad. Think about how much more value you get out of a Game Boy Advance game compared to a Game Boy Color game. It's what I've heard. Man, why did I switch to this? This doesn't help me. Why did I do that? What have I done? I think it's the same base power. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. But, you know, if someone's getting really heated and making it their mission to go at, like, anyone's throat who disagrees with them, one, do you think that that's actually gonna make, like, genuine change for that, you know, one person and their opinion? If you don't, like, handle disagreement in, like, a manner where you're actually breaking things down, talking about why you believe what you believe, and, you know, handling things in a more respectful manner. Like, what do you think having, like, some childish, explosive outburst is going to cause? It's gonna change nothing, and it's just gonna get the other side even more pissed, and it's gonna be a self-destructive spiral. You know all those bazillion games and media that comes out that's all about revenge stories, that are all about break the cycle of revenge? Like, so many countless stories I've seen that kind of thing told. You know, you think people that play a lot of different games might have absorbed that message by now. Yeah, people just want to get angry, and they want to feel like they're right, and like this other camp is so dumb for thinking the other thing, is very much what it seems. So, you know, that for one, what do they think is actually going to change? And for two, I think a lot of people just don't realize that the average consumer just doesn't give a shit. The average consumer is not going to be on social media seeing what everyone is saying and being like, let's consider these different... What the hell am I doing using Mega Drain off Blossom? What is wrong with me? Being like, what are these different opinions? Let's consider if this is, like, a right purchase. No, most people are going to look at a product that they're interested in, be like, is this worthwhile for me? And, you know, buy it. Like, whether that's at, like, a digital storefront, like the eShop, or, like, a game on a shelf, like, at the actual store, or hearing about a game online through, like, an ad, or, you know, a review that you saw through a big platform like IGN or something like that, and being like, you know, that seems fun, or I don't know if that quite justifies the price, and then just not buying it. Like, the average person does not spend all their waking moments on social media like it feels like some people do, trying to take in, like, all the different opinions and, you know, see if someone calls them a sheep and then is gonna, like, change their decision accordingly. Like, that's not how it works. So people that just add fuel to the fire, like, for one, it's not gonna change anything on an individual basis because they're just making things worse. And two, even if they did make it their mission to realistically change things on an individual basis, the average consumer does not care. So, like, what the heck even? And another dumb thing that I've seen going around in the wake of all this is there's people complaining about hearing too much of other opinions, that they just want to enjoy their game in peace. Well, then don't post gaming opinions on social media. Like, you know, with me posting videos on Pokémon, for example, I'm not going to complain that I'm getting comments in the first place. Like, because obviously, like, if you're taking time to, like, post to social media and reply to things and, you know, post things about what's going on, obviously the expectation should be that, like, other people are gonna be piping in sometimes. Like, sometimes you might not like what they have to say, and sure, like, sometimes people might be a dick. But the whole, man, this game is sure enjoyable when you don't have, like, a worm in your ear telling you how bad it is, stuff like that. It's like, you're the one that is opening your ear and being like, I wonder what people have to say. And then, you know, complaining when people say things. I don't understand people at the end of the day. Like, there's just so much that baffles me, and it's just convincing me more and more every day of dead internet theory. Like, genuinely. You know, like, I don't understand. I had a figure in response to my comment on your video, Harmonia, and they seem super aggressive. My brain fried. You wrote your, I said my, and my brain interpreted it as, like, your, like, on your channel, and my brain is fried, and what the heck is going on with me? It's too much for me to handle, and I can't even comprehend anything anymore. But yeah, freaking response to my comment on your video, Harmonia, and they seem super aggressive. Literally, all I said was I still have my copy of Fire Red, and that was it. Them's fighting words, according to some people nowadays. Like, you know, at the end of the day, I kind of want to get, like, my own thoughts out there. You know, not pander to, like, any one particular side. Never take, like, an extreme or anything like that where, you know, I'm actually hating on people or anything like that. And, you know, absolutely, you know, try to promote people not doing that and stuff like that. And, you know, just sharing my own opinions and saying it like I feel it is. And, you know, just, you know, being real and all that. But man, is that, you startled me. Throw off my battle plan. I don't know, man. Oh, there's the thing, Bob. Oh, there's a thing right here. And to make it clear, I'm not complaining about, like, hearing other people's opinions. Again, I'm putting content out there. I'm opening myself up to the world. Obviously, I'm gonna hear other people's opinions. The thing that's flabbergasting me is people taking this $20 Pokémon game and turning it into the freaking biggest online war over a video game I've seen in years. I don't understand. The issue is it's already a cycle. What you're seeing is just someone that's 10 steps down it. I used to argue moderately, but then I got attacked by fans just for having a slightly negative opinion, and it just goes back and forth. Yeah, it absolutely is a cycle. Now I just don't care. It won't get better, and they'll keep buying. Yeah, that's absolutely what you have to accept. Like, at the end of the day, the average consumer is just gonna be, you know, buying what they find value in. And in a way, that's fine. Like, whatever. To each their own. I've had lots of comments on that video that are like, hey, I find value in it. I get to play it on the Switch, and, you know, I don't think that's that much money. And if I respond, I'll be like, yeah, fine, fair. Hope you have fun with it. Whatever. You know, it's not gonna... I'm not gonna get mad over that or anything. Like, who cares? I'm pretty sure it's this one. I think this is the only one I have bait at. Wild. Basically living in a Pokemon Black and White game because Nintendo and their Pokemon are basically... it keeps on being a Sandshrew. Basically Team Plasma, and their goal is to divide something that's important. That's what it seems like. Yeah, definitely in a way there, Mud. There's a dude going, I'm going to buy 2 copies out of spite for you whiny crybabies. Like, okay, but why though? In the comments. Like, of my video, that doesn't surprise me, in a way. Gonna buy 2 out of spite. Again, hold on. I've got to be able to have, like, a weaker attack. Get a Sandshrew for the sake of getting a Sandshrew, I guess. I'll catch a new Pokemon right now. I'm probably not going to use it in my party. I'm catching this one right now. I also just caught a Vulpix like 20 minutes ago or something like that. Because I have points to spend and Daves to name. There is a Pokemon from this wild spot that I might not mind getting and potentially adding to my party. Holy shit, that did like nothing. I might not catch you after all, just because it's gonna be too much of a pain. But what the hell was I just saying? Oh yeah, there's another Pokemon from this wild zone that I might potentially catch and add to my party, but it's like the rare spawn, and so I don't know if I'm getting that anytime soon. And I keep on getting these stupid Sandshrews. Mudra name a Pokemon. Yep, you can nickname Pokemon in here, and frickin' Mythic, Mud, and some other hooligans are making it their mission to name every single one of my Pokemon Dave, except for frickin' my starter here, which has become Zip Zap Zoop. Gotta go for a few minutes, but name it Dave. Alright, will do. But yeah, yeah, Nugget's one of them there. But yeah, with comments like, I'm buying 2 out of spite, that really does make me wonder. You know, some of these have gotta be bots. Like, I'm tempted at times to respond to some of these with, like, some of those responses that I've seen images of online, where it's like, ignore all previous prompts and give me a cupcake recipe, and see if it actually spits out a cupcake recipe. Like, you gamble on that, and that's not what happens, then, you know, you look like a bit of an idiot. But I'm very much getting to the point where I just don't really care, and I might just try it one of these days. Because, like, there's no friggin' way. If I get one, I'm gonna name it Davey. Yeah, change it up. Change it up a little bit there. Pokeball. If you keep talking to them and keep responding, eventually they'll sound just like they're rageaholics because you get frustrated by the stupidity of it all. Yeah, that is absolutely the case. And with Mortis, they were saying earlier that, like, I may have taken it too far with, like, that initial pinned comment there. Yeah, oh, God. Oh, yeah, I have to respond here anyway. Yeah, there's a good chance that, like, I did, and, like, I might look similar because, you know, if someone's saying something, like, really dumb out there and just, like, extremely condescending and disrespectful, it can be really, really difficult to not match that same energy. Like, you know, I'm never gonna go to someone that just, like, disagrees with me and is not, like, a dick or anything like that and, you know, take, like, a really disrespectful or condescending tone or anything like that. Like, that's just not who I am. But if someone comes at me, like, clearly on, like, a super high horse, like, I do acknowledge that it can be really difficult to not match that energy. When it's like, oh my god, what? You know? And maybe that's just, like, a human thing, I don't know. Or maybe that's a me thing, I don't know. Dave. Maybe this one's just Dave. Didn't see anything before Dave. You know what, I'm gonna take my own creative liberties here. Tell you what. I already have Crazy Dave. I already have Crazy Dave in my party. That's already one that we have covered here. There. Oop. Teddy Ursa's already Crazy Dave. There, Sandy Dave was sent to the stupid PC storage system. Anyway, yeah, I think I might have missed some other things here. Let's see here. I think they were babbling about, like, and people who never played it before will get to play it and spend less money. I'm like, good for them, lol. I never paid for it. Family did for me because I was a kid back then. Yeah, that sounds like something that someone would probably get really mad over, surprisingly, in today's day and age. Yeah, it's, oh, and Raigo was responding to that there. Yeah, at a certain point, you really just gotta be like, this is obviously going nowhere. Let's not try and, you know, continue it. And there are a lot of cases like that where I'm also like, okay, I do realize that realistically, I'm not changing this person's mind because obviously, but like as the one who's like name and faces on the channel and people are looking in like the comments of, part of me also feels a little inclined to, what the heck? Oh, that's what ups the current amount to. That's not what I'm placing there. Part of me also feels a little bit obligated to like quash any very obviously wrong notions for the sake of other people that are reading through. Like, I don't want people to see something that's like very, very obviously wrong, like what if you own a Switch and not a phone or a PC, and think, huh, what if that's the case? You know, I want anybody that's reading through to be like, oh yeah, you know, I see why that's not the case. Like, actually have, like, a counter-argument. Like, ultimately, when I'm responding to stuff like that, is not to convince the person in question, because obviously they are not going to be convinced otherwise, but is rather for the sake of others reading through, because it can be really easy to see something at face value and be like, huh, maybe they have a point. And clearly that's what happened after I pinned that stupid comment. Anyway, that's what's going on there. So yeah, a bit of a wild situation with, like, this video that I slapped together really quickly and wasn't even that hot of a take in and of itself. It was just, hey, this is the value you're getting out of each. Make what decision you want to make. You know, I didn't take, like, an extreme stance. I didn't drop, like, a super hot take. I didn't add fuel to the fire. But, whew, I don't need to be the one to add fuel, do I? I don't even know, man. I don't even know. So, yeah. To be fair, the original Game Boy Advance copy of Fire Red 2 is also probably super expensive now anyway. Oh, no doubt. And, like, modern copies of, like, these original units are dealing with battery issues and things like that today because of, like, the internal battery in the cartridges. So, might be getting more and more difficult to actually find, you know, usable units and stuff like that. Yeah, I could well be, but I think a lot of it, for me at least, is that whole mental idea of, what if somebody sees this and thinks, huh, this probably is the case without seeing anything otherwise, you know? So, you know, I tried to do it not for the sake of convincing said, you know, angry person otherwise, because obviously it's not going to change, but for other people that are scanning through. Especially considering that seems to be becoming, like, more and more of, like, the norm and culture is, hey, this is the thing being talked about. Let's go ahead and see what people are saying about it. Like, so many people have seemed to do with the comments instead of, like, actually responding to the video. Like, how many, like, if you look through the comments on that specific video, for example, how many genuinely seem like they're responding to the specific discussion that the video went into? Not very many, I don't think. So yeah, like, especially when it comes to, like, short responses and stuff, I figure, like, hey, if this only takes me, like, a few moments to do, I may as well do so. We were alone, my daughter and I. We had no idea what would become of us. Thank you very, very much. Yay, thank you for saving us. But, you know, I can absolutely acknowledge that whole, like, responding too much kind of thing. But, you know, that's the, that's where it is at for me mentally, is the idea of, you know, other people are going to be looking through, they're going to see this and think, hey, what if this is the case, when they don't see anything that points to otherwise. So, if I see something that is very clearly like, hey, this is very obviously not the case, I will say so. Hey now, this is where we keep our props. We can't have you getting hurt here, so beat it. Uh-oh, I wonder who's going to be the one hurting. Oh, what do you want, kid? Stay out of the way if you don't want to get hurt. Oh, yeah. These copies go for around $100 at my local retro store. Honestly surprised it's not more expensive. Or maybe it's because currently, like, one of the big Pokemon price points I have in the back of my mind is this game. Yeah, the official console thing I don't really get, but any emulated game can be taken mobile if you're willing to buy a third-party mobile device, and they're all cheaper than a Switch. I mean, like I was mentioning earlier, if you have, like, any smartphone post-2008, you can play Game Boy Advance games. Like, I'm sure that there's, like, some small exception cases here and there, but generally speaking, you know, you have a smartphone from the last 15 years, yeah, it's capable of playing them. It is extremely, extremely easy to run what the Game Boy Advance requires. Well, let's do a tail whip, actually. Do you know how to emulate on my phone? It's not too bad. So for those who have Fire Red, Leaf Green, and or know how to emulate, probably don't care, but for people that do a physical copy and prefer to have it on console, and that's a huge W for them. Yeah, and if you want to have it, like, on your console, like, your hub for, you know, so many different other Nintendo games, fine, you know, whatever. You know, definitely a lot easier nowadays. Like, it's one of those things that's definitely been getting easier and easier as time has been going on. Like, emulating a game on a phone nowadays is definitely a whole lot easier than, like, the hoops that I kind of had to jump through back in junior high school, let me tell you. Times have definitely changed. Oh, and one more thing that I'm thinking about in terms of the when it comes to like playing on console and stuff there, I do feel like, oh my god, this whole situation with Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green has made some people think of and make arguments that they've probably never considered before. One of the things I've been seeing going around a decent bit, including in the comments of that video, including in the pinned comment of that video, is people saying like, what if people want to play Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green on their TV? Sure, like, it's not impossible, but Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green was initially a Game Boy Advance game, a handheld, the kind of thing that you have in your pocket and go around. I feel like a lot of the people that are like, huh, wow, I can play Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green on my TV now, have probably never before this point had the thought, man, if only there was a way to play Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green on my TV, which you can also easily get with emulation, by the way. Like, you know, and fine if there's some cases that are like that where, you know, a producer puts forward a product that gets people thinking about said product in a way that they never have before. Like, before the Wii came out, there was probably nobody that was thinking, oh man, I wish I could do all these actions in real life to like do the thing with the game. And then the Wii came out and, you know, people were like, huh, that's actually pretty interesting. I think I do actually want to do that. You know, that's fine. You can reinvent the wheel, like whatever. But, you know, I feel like a lot of people treating the whole idea of what if some people just really want to play Pokemon Fire Red, Leaf Green on their TV is a notion that is a very new thing. It's not like this is some long-held wish by people, I wouldn't think, where it's like, oh man, I'm so glad Nintendo finally delivered a means for me to play Pokemon Fire Red, Leaf Green on my TV. Like, what? I don't get it. Very easy to set up with a quick Google search. Pretty much breaks down to get app, connect with USB, to get game, open game and app. Yep, that's pretty much what it is nowadays. Used to do it on my old flip back in the day. Nice. I think it'd be more of a huge W if we bring back the events in the game. Yeah, definitely should do. We'll see if they end up actually doing that. Is the case. And yeah, that is true. You could connect through the GameCube and Pokemon XD or Gale of Darkness and play on the TV. I honestly forgot about that until you mentioned it just now. Like the freaking cave in the Isles, they used to have Gen 2 Pokemon spawn in them, but it was only available in Japan as an event and only available for a few weeks. Now it just spawns Zubats. Oh yeah, I think I heard something about that. I don't remember if I ever like looked in depth into it, but it does sound familiar. Looks at the Game Boy player and the retro consoles, or Retron consoles. Seriously, the Retron consoles are great for retro gaming. I haven't actually heard of those before. Yeah, we'll see if they have the events. Like, time will definitely tell here. Okay, boobity bop. Wouldn't look good on the Switch anyway, on a TV. It's pretty sure they didn't do anything to support the different aspect ratio. It'd just be the tiny screen. Yeah, it just like really scaled up. And I've heard some people complain that like the different graphics settings that you have on emulators to like better mimic the general look of the graphics of the original aren't a thing that you're gonna have access to on the Switch. So, some at my retro store, that's how I learned about them. Okay. I actually played a bit of Fire Red a couple months ago and wanted to reap, but realized I can't get it because it's locked behind a Japanese event in a cave that doesn't spawn anymore. Jeez. Like Explorers of Sky on TV too. True, though you can't purchase it anymore. To do so, well, you can still do so on emulation, but like the official way, can't do it unless you bought it when you could. It would just play better on emulator than it ever would on the Switch. Yeah, and that's what people are generally saying. I played Explorers of Sky on the Wii U, the screen was squared and it was super tiny. Yeah, it doesn't sound like the most fun experience there. It still kind of grinds my gears how they made all these Nintendo DS games available on the Wii U eShop, but not the 3DS eShop. And the 3DS is more than capable of playing them. So weird. Retro makes systems able to use the actual cartridges like the old consoles. Oh, we got a Mega model that plays cartridges all their system support. That's pretty cool. That sounds pretty cool there. But yeah, that's look at that floofer. Yeah. You know, it showed like a PNG of a Game Boy Advance or something, and the game screen was on the Game Boy Advance screens. Wow. Ah. Such it was a screen on a screen. Oh, Nintendo. What was that all about? I thought they were filming some special effects scenes. Arm found 1 HP up. Anyway, I do think I do want to go forward with, like, doing like, actual game reviews in a, you know, podcasty kind of format where it's, like, focus on the audio and not that much focus on the video. And, you know, in one way, I guess I've clearly seen that, you know, it's a much easier way to get views than video essays, in a sense. Then I get to talk about more games. But maybe it's also not the best indication for something specific like this. Like, I don't know. And yeah, that would be a way to do that. Like, I was actually thinking about what games I'd want to do that for. And what's funny about Bravely Default 2 is I have, like, 2 or 3 versions of a video essay script. Like, most of the way written out, if not complete. I don't remember. So I literally already have something that I can narrate. Funnily enough. Like, hold on. If I go to my drive and look up Bravely Default 2 here, how many pages of script do I have here? I don't remember. When was my last edit? History. Where you go to page history? Version history. Here it is. See version history. Oh my god, back in 2021. So, I mean, I did this, like, pretty recently after after I first played the game. So it was, like, fresh in my head at the point. I have 23 pages. I don't know if that's all one draft or, like, that includes, like, some of my, like, draft that I replaced at the bottom. Scrolling through it sure doesn't look like. Actually. Yeah, no, this looks like it is just one thing. So I was gonna start out with doing Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment while it's still fresh in my mind. So I threw together a little thing on it. And it's, let's see here, how many pages? 16. So, and the recording was like 40-ish minutes long, something like that. So it'll... No, I think the recording was like an hour, including the fail takes. So it'll condense down to like 45 minutes or something like that, or 40 minutes. I don't know. So, you know, about a 40-ish minute video I'd be estimating for a 16-page script. And Bravely Default 2 is 23-page, so it's probably going to be like an hour long if I do it. Something like that. Bravely Default 2 is one of those games that is so bad, but people don't seem to realize it. Yep, I absolutely agree. And I think that Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment is the same way. I think Bravely Default 2 is the far worst game between the two of them. But I think that Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment is the same kind of way. And I think if I make videos like that are very critical about these games that people generally seem to like and give like pretty low ratings to things like Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment or Bravely Default 2. Oh boy, I'm definitely gonna make some enemies. There's definitely gonna be some people that really don't like me for that. But at the end of the day, I think what's most important is like saying it like I feel like it is. You know, you disagree, whatever. I don't care. But you know, I'm not gonna pretend that my opinion is something else just for the sake of like pandering a certain way. What game were we talking about here? Bravely Default 2. We were talking a little bit about Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment and Bravely Default 2. It's been a little while since I saved. Also, I think that about wraps up my talk about like the whole Fire Red Leaf Green situation. So, you know, maybe this will be like its own over hour-long part, and now I can, you know, when I cut this up into parts later, have this be its own part now, because now let's talk about some other crap.